this video, I want to talk to you about introversion and growing a business. I think sometimes in the online space, it can feel a bit like business success comes to those who are most confident and extroverted, especially in the world of kind of short form videos and dancing reels. And this kind of like everyone's got great like dance moves. And as a sort of like serial introvert, and I know a lot of my audience feel like this too, you can ask yourself the question, is it possible to actually grow and be successful if you're not prepared to do those kind of things? And as an introvert, like a massive introvert, I 100% say, yes, it is possible. I've been able to grow my business to multiple six figures using strategies that are much more aligned. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about exactly how I've done that and the full opportunities I think you have to align your strategy to your introversion. I joke that I don't really like people. I think what I mean by that is I'm much more comfortable in my own company. I'm much more comfortable in groups of, say, one or two people. Group dynamics, where there's large groups, make me deeply uncomfortable and make me really unsociable. So today I'm going to be talking about how can we stay visible? How can we grow and excel in a way that's aligned to you as an introvert? Why? Because if you don't, your marketing won't be sustainable. And I think that's one of the issues people find with social media is some people think like social media is the only way to grow, but social media for introverts is a huge energy outlay because of all the interactions with people. So it's not necessarily, it might be, but it's not necessarily the right strategy for you. So, what does introversion actually mean? I know some people don't even like this way to define people, but for me, I've always found it really clearly describes how I feel. And for me, it means one, like I'm much more comfortable in my own energy and in small groups. I get my energy from within myself, from being alone rather than groups. So big groups drain me, time alone energizes me. And if I have interactions with a lot of people, if I go to an event or a networking meeting, I have an energy hangover afterwards where I have to recuperate hugely. So I'm curious to know for you, like, how does your introversion show up? Like, how do you define it? I think one definition I've found useful for me is I'm an extroverted introvert and that I'm actually an introvert, but I appear extroverted. I'm quite confident. I can hold a conversation, but it takes its toll on me energy wise. But I think the thing about introversion to understand, as with all of these ways to define our personalities and characteristics, is there's loads of strengths of being an introvert. I find that a lot of introverts are quite deep thinkers. They've got an amazing ability to empathize with different people and really see how people are feeling. And that gives us this opportunity in our content to create very meaningful connections with our audience. I've also seen with myself and with other introverts that authenticity is very important. Therefore, often you don't have a lot of time for small talk. You want to get to the core of it. And authenticity in marketing is such a superpower because so many people don't have the courage to be authentic. So if you can lean into that side of your introversion, it can be very powerful. Okay, so let's dive into some strategies for visibility as an introvert. So the first one is that we need to balance our strategy with not burning out and getting overwhelmed, because this is the danger of an introvert is that we do things that lead us to a state of freeze because we're so overwhelmed with the energy outlay. So the first thing to say is we really need to differentiate between strategic visibility and overwhelm. So when I look at a lot of people's marketing strategies, they don't necessarily have like time blocks where they're focusing on stuff. There's an endless to-do list of all of the things you could be doing. Now, you could be doing all of those things on a weekly basis, but if you do all of those things on a weekly basis, what's going to happen is you're going to burn out. So what I want you to shift to instead is strategic visibility. And that comes first of all from knowing what your strategy is, knowing what your process is for that strategy. And then as soon as you've done the thing in the time block, you then step away, right? Because otherwise you are going to burn out. So I cannot like emphasize this enough that we want to have a strategic showcase of your expertise that allow you to showcase how awesome you are and then step away before you get too drained. Number two, there are some strategies that are more introvert friendly than others, right? So if you consider the different platforms, for example, blogging is going to be more introvert friendly than social media. Podcasting, particularly if you're talking on your own, again, is going to be much more introversion friendly. If your core strategy is social media or networking, or going to big events that take up a lot of your energy, you might find that is very unsustainable. So I want you to consider your introversion as a really core part of your strategy, as well as things like where are your ideal client and what works for your market, because it is as important. It's who you are, and it's where you get your energy from. So for me in my business, I learned really early on networking wasn't going to be a great strategy for me. And same with big events. And I've done more big events this year and had it reminded. I take like a whole week to recover after going for an event. So the benefit doesn't really outweigh the negatives for me. So if you are using a wide range of things at the moment, my first thing is like, how can you simplify? Because if you've got like lots of different places you're meant to be being, the reality is you're going to burn out. So how can you swap to a strategy that's very strategic and sees you doing the least to get clients, right? So for me, that became my Facebook group very early on. Now, Facebook is very draining for me. I find the need to go on and engage with people, respond to comments is something that I dread. And it's something that I consistently ignore. So although I grew initially on Facebook, I knew that I needed long term to move away from that platform. So I still have my Facebook group. I still use it regularly. But on the meantime, I've been focusing on strategies that don't have me connecting with people, YouTube being one of them. Because when I'm creating a YouTube video, even though I do it live in my Facebook group, as I am now, I can post that on YouTube and be growing a more sustainable audience that doesn't require that consistent engaging that we need to do on social media to stay visible. So I just want you to reflect on the different strategies you're currently using. Which ones energize you? Which ones have you excited to sit down and do it because you know it's like in this neat little block, I can do this thing and step away? And which of them feel like they have this nagging long-term commitment to you to show up energy-wise? So we talked about like strategic visibility versus overwhelm. So having time blocks. Two, looking at introvert friendly platforms, which are things like YouTube, blogging, podcasting. And for me, my email list. Now, I love my email list. It feels like I get to write private love letters to my audience. It doesn't feel super public, even though I'm writing to thousands and thousands of people. Like it really suits me. So when I realized I didn't want Facebook to be my core strategy, and as I grew and I had more revenue, I realized that ads could do all of the organic stuff that I was doing. So instead of doing loads of guest talks and other people's Facebook groups and like running challenges and doing all of these big energy outlays, I just put money into ads, right? And grew my email list and my Facebook group at the same time. And then poured all of my energy and attention into creating really powerful content for my email list. So this is the third thing I want to come on to is as an introvert, you want to align your content creation with your strengths. Now, introversion strengths are often like longer form content, like more in-depth articles, like thought-provoking podcasts. Or I also like creating like quite visually appealing like graphics and stuff like that, that like infographics. So you can think what when do I feel most in flow? What's the content where I'm like, yeah, I get so excited on a Monday morning that the first task in my to-do list is to email my list because I love that. And on a Wednesday. I love also delivering workshops. For some reason, delivering to a crowd on like a 1 hour workshop is an energy give for me. It does give me a bit of an energy hangover afterward, but it's a good give for me. So what I've ended up doing is like getting curious around the different strategies and what has me excited to sit down and do it and what has me dread it. Every single time I had a podcast interview in my calendar, I dreaded it. Even though I enjoyed it when I was doing it, I dreaded it in the run up, right? So that just meant everyone kept saying to me, "Oh, Gemma, you should be doing podcasts. You're good at speaking. You should be doing podcasts." And I'm like, I know I could be doing podcasts, but I don't want to. I don't want to put my energy there. I would rather do a 10 to 15-minute video in my own bedroom speaking to no one. I would rather pull my attention to writing long form emails to my list. Some people say to me, "Oh, your emails are too long." I don't give a shit if my emails are too long. They're what I like to write, and I get incredible feedback from my audience. And of course, some people are going to not read them because they're too long, but whatever, you can't please everyone. So the fourth thing, So the third one was align content to your strength and get curious to the energizers and also the ones that lend to your introversion. So for me, it's longer form writing and video, hence focusing on email and YouTube and also on ads. So I don't have to connect with people and grow my audience elsewhere. So the last thing I want to talk to you about today is boundaries. The biggest struggle with an introversion, with it being an introvert, is you not managing your energy. We are in a technological world where most people have notifications on their phone all the time. Some people are watching TV while having a laptop on their lap and a phone, doing Christmas shopping whilst talking to their kids and doing five other things. All of this is incredibly draining. The sooner you step up and take responsibility for your boundaries, which is when do you want to have external input into your life? And when do you want to be in your own space, not allowing external input? So turn off all notifications. Choose when you engage in your phone. If social media is your core strategy, have very specific engagement curated periods where you're going to go on there. Do not have it that every spare second of your day you are just logging on. And if you're not setting boundaries in your life with your relationships, with your time, with social media, with technology, you're already on the back foot because you're already allowing your battery level to be drained on a daily basis without any control, like without you proactively managing that. Okay. Um, so I would love to know from you, like, how does your introversion affect your marketing strategy? And if you were going to take control of this and choose to grow your business in an aligned way, what would better suit? And so often people say to me, I don't think I can do it not being this extroverted, bubbly person. And all I can say is I have, using very simple strategies like long form videos, ads, emails, blogging, and figuring out what was right for me. If you've got any questions at all, pop below in the comments. And I hope you found it useful. See you later.